Friends said to us, we have a tape we want you to hear. And we said, well, what is it? And they said, well, it's channeled. Well, we had never heard the word channeled. From the Seth material was the only material we'd read. And they explained that there was a woman that was coming to Phoenix and that she spoke for a non-physical entity, was the way they put it. And we didn't admit to them even then that we'd been reading the Seth material, but we sort of put it together that it must have been the same process, that in the same way that Jane Roberts was receiving Seth, that this woman apparently received THEO. So we made an appointment, and we went to a beautiful home in Phoenix, and I remember THEO, a very beautiful woman, she just, she laid down on at the end of a bed and just breathed quietly for a little bit, and then a very wise and unusual sounding voice addressed us. Well, I was amazed. I did not say a word through the whole, it was, I think, a 30-minute meeting. I didn't say anything. And Jerry had a notebook full of questions that he had saved up since he said he was 6 years old. So Jerry and THEO just had this conversation, and I just sat back in amazement at what I heard, and even more, what it felt like. And so we left, and I said, okay, now I want to go back. And so we made another appointment. We went back the next day, and now I had a list of questions. And so in the 30 minutes went so fast, and Jerry used part of my time the second day because he still had more questions. And so at the end of our time, a little timer went off, which meant our time was up. And I remember feeling disappointed because I was just beginning to relax and get into this. And the woman who was in the room that was operating the tape recorder, she said, well, do you have one last question? Like, do you want to know who your spiritual guide is? We'd never heard of that. And I said, well, yes. And so THEO said, we are told it will be given to you directly. You'll have a clairaudient experience and you'll know. And I thought that was strange. I mean, I didn't have any reason not to believe THEO, but I had had no experiences that made me think that anything like that would happen to us. And then I asked if we should bring our daughter Tracy, who was 14, to see THEO. And THEO said, well, if she wants, if it is her asking, but it's not necessary, for you too are channels, which seemed bizarre to me, that something that strange could be something unknown to us. And then I asked what we could do to more effectively achieve our goals. And THEO said, affirmations, and gave us a wonderful affirmation that we used every day, still do, and said meditate. Well, Jerry and I had never meditated. I don't think we even knew anyone who meditated. It reminded me of walking on beds or hot coals, or lying on beds of nails, or people at the airport that stood on one foot with their hand out. You know, it just was weird to me. And so I said, well, what is meditation? What do you mean? And THEO said, sit in a comfortable room and wear comfortable clothing and quiet your mind and concentrate on your breathing. And when your mind wanders, and it will, just release the thought and focus on your breathing. And do it together, it will be more powerful. So we left that meeting, and I don't remember ever feeling better. It was more of a feeling thing that happened to me than an intellectual thing that happened, because it all happened so fast. And so we left, and I remember we went directly home, closed the drapes, put on comfortable clothing, sat in the wingback chairs with an etagere between us because it was just weird, and we were kind of embarrassed to be doing this thing together, you know. And we set a timer for 15 minutes. And so I just did what THEO said. I just started focusing on my breathing, as in and out, in and out. And right away, I felt numb. Almost immediately, I could not tell the difference between my foot and my nose. Remarkable feeling. I really liked it. And so the timer went off, really startled us. And so I said, let's do it again. So set the timer again, and again, I'm just focusing on my breathing. And again, I'm totally detached. I can't even feel that I'm sitting in the chair. It was really a very nice feeling. And and the timer went off, and I said, I'm really liking this. Let's do it again. Jerry teases me because I tend to be all or nothing. And so we set the timer again, and again, that wonderful feeling of detachment. And right before the timer went off, for the third 15-minute time, something breathed me. It was like I was a billows, and something was pushing the air in and sucking the air out of me. It was incredible. And I guess I was making some noise because Jerry looked around and said that it looked like I was convulsing in ecstasy. And to me, it was the most remarkable, loving feeling. And then the timer went off. And now my teeth are buzzing, not chattering, buzzing. The energy was so strong. And now, we realize now that that was our first interaction with Abraham. We didn't know it then. And so, but I was still following Theo's guidance that when your mind wanders, focus on your breathing. So every time a thought occurred to me, I would just breathe more and do my best to release the thought. The phrase that Theo gave us, the affirmation, I, Esther Hicks, see and draw to me, through divine love, those beings who seek enlightenment through my process. The sharing will elevate us both now. That's my favorite.